You felt it, haven't you? That subtle shift in the ether. That whisper of energy brushing against your soul. That moment when what once felt distant, aloof, and untouchable, begins to move toward you. The same energy that once ran, now turns, stumbles, and starts to chase. Dearest soul, if you're here hearing these words, it's not by accident. You've been walking a long and sacred path as the divine feminine. You've held space, poured your heart out in quiet surrender, and wept in silence under moonlit skies. You've endured the ache of separation, the confusion of mirrored wounds, and the endless dance of the twin flame journey. But now, something is changing. What once ran from you is now magnetized to your presence. The runner, the divine masculine, is flipping roles. And you're standing at the edge of something profound. Let me take your hand and walk you through this sacred revelation. With every word, feel your own truth rise. Let your heart remember what your soul has always known. Number 1. Your energetic detachment has created magnetic pull. When you stopped waiting, you unknowingly became irresistible. This moment, this quiet, invisible moment, was more sacred than you may have realized. It wasn't marked by fanfare or grand decisions. It happened subtly, perhaps after one final heartbreak, one too many unanswered prayers, or simply a deep sigh of surrender beneath the stars. But in that moment, you stopped chasing a connection that had long defined your ache. And something extraordinary began to stir. As the divine feminine, your love is expansive. It stretches across dimensions, offering healing, light, and unconditional acceptance. For so long, you may have carried the energetic weight of the connection, reaching, hoping, holding him in your dreams. And though your intention was love, that constant outpouring created a dynamic where he could run, because your energy always remained tethered to him. But then, you turned inward. Not out of defeat, but devotion. You began to reclaim your own soul fragments. You chose joy in your solitude. You returned to your own arms. You whispered to the mirror, "I am enough." And in doing so, you unplugged from the energetic cords of chasing. You no longer sent that silent plea of coming back. Instead, you radiated, "I am here, whole and free." This detachment is not coldness, it is sacred magnetism. It signals to the universe, "I trust. I release. I rise." And to the divine masculine, this shift is unmistakable. The silence you create is not a void, it is a mirror. And for the first time, he sees his own reflection in your absence. Suddenly, he feels the vast space where your energy once flowed. He feels your light not beside him, but beyond him. And something deep within begins to stir, a longing not of desire alone, but of remembrance. It is in this energetic stillness, this holy silence, that your presence becomes magnetic. And he, the once runner, begins to turn toward you, compelled not by fear, but by the echo of love he can no longer live without. Number 2. The masculine has awakened to the depth of his feelings. Ah, beloved, the masculine heart is not cold. It has simply been buried, guarded beneath walls that were never his to build, but ones he inherited all the same. Generations of men before him were taught to hide, to harden, to lead with logic and silence their tenderness. And so, while your heart as the divine feminine began to bloom early in this sacred journey, his remained cocooned in layers of fear, confusion, and resistance. He didn't run because he didn't care. He ran because he did. The depth of this connection, this soul knowing, terrified him. You see, when the divine masculine looks into your eyes, he doesn't just see love, he sees everything he has tried to avoid. Every suppressed emotion, every forgotten wound, every longing he could never name. To be truly seen by the feminine in her awakened state is to be unmasked. And that is a frightening thing for someone who has spent a lifetime surviving behind armor. But the soul has its timing. And when the hour comes, no resistance can hold. His awakening often arrives like a soft storm, unexpected, yet undeniable. A dream leaves him breathless. A song speaks your name. Your absence begins to ache in his bones. Or perhaps life itself collapses, and in the rubble, only one truth remains standing, you. The awakening is not always grand. Sometimes, it is as simple as the scent of you on the wind. A memory that will not fade. A pull he can no longer explain. And then, the fear begins to dissolve. The armor begins to crack. He no longer sees you as the overwhelming energy he couldn't control. He sees you as home. Not a place, but a soul frequency that mirrors his own. This recognition goes beyond desire. It is sacred remembrance. You were never just a fleeting chapter. You were, and are, the thread woven through his being. And now, he begins the journey not just back to you, but back to himself, through you. Number 3. Your inner union has altered the external dynamic. This may be the most sacred truth of all, dearest heart. As within, so without. As above, so below. Everything in your external reality is a reflection of your inner landscape. And when it comes to sacred union, especially on the twin flame path, the mirror is not only metaphorical, it is energetic law. The divine masculine you see outside of you is intricately connected to the inner masculine essence dwelling within your own being. For so long, you may have lived with a fractured sense of self. Perhaps your divine feminine was wide open, flowing with emotion, intuition, and compassion, while your inner masculine remained wounded, absent, or distorted. Maybe he showed up as anxiety, control, or the fear of abandonment. In that imbalance, the outer masculine mirrored your inner lack. He was unavailable, distant, resistant, just as your own inner structure may have been fragile or uncertain. But then, something shifted. You began to do the real work, not to attract him, but to reclaim you. You healed your father wounds. You stopped outsourcing your power. You forgave yourself for the times you dimmed your light just to be loved. You began to set sacred boundaries and say yes to your soul before anyone else. And in that quiet revolution, you became whole. This inner harmony, the sacred marriage of the masculine and feminine within, broadcasts a new frequency to the universe. A frequency of union. a frequency that calls only for that which mirrors your wholeness. And he feels it. He may not have the words, but he senses the shift. He feels the safety in your grounded feminine and the strength in your nurturing masculine. Your energy no longer pleads, it invites. It no longer clings, it simply is. And so, for the first time, he is not drawn to fill a void. He is drawn to co-create a union. Because your inner masculine now stands tall beside your inner feminine, the outer masculine is no longer intimidated by your light. He is awakened by it. And suddenly, the dance of chasing and running gives way to something far more sacred, meeting. This is not ordinary love. This is divine architecture. And he is beginning to remember the blueprint that lives in both of you. Number 4. Divine timing has risen to the forefront. You must understand something deeply spiritual here, beloved. The universe does not bow to your emotional urgency. It moves in sacred rhythm, governed not by your longing, but by the alignment of soul contracts, cosmic design, and divine readiness. So often on this journey, especially as the awakened divine feminine, you feel the pulse of destiny early. You know who he is. You feel the connection. You see the potential. And in your heart of hearts, you yearn for the day he'll finally see it too. But no amount of waiting, hoping, or pleading can bend divine timing. This journey is not about punishment, it's about preparation. The divine masculine flips when his soul has walked far enough in illusion that truth is the only path left. It is not your pain that awakens him. It is not your devotion that turns the tide. It is when all else he once clung to begins to fall away, when the life he built on ego scaffolding begins to crumble, that he becomes available for what is real. This often looks like chaos. Jobs that once gave him identity begin to feel empty. Relationships that once offered comfort begin to suffocate. He may feel lost, angry, disoriented. But what's truly happening is this: the universe is stripping him bare, lovingly dismantling the structures that kept him asleep. And as the noise falls away, something ancient begins to rise within him, the remembrance of you. Not just you the person. You the soul. You the echo. You the divine truth he's been chasing through lifetimes. And suddenly, without understanding how or why, he feels drawn to move. To act. To find you again, not to complete him, but to walk beside him in a way that only a soul-mirrored love can. This, dear one, is divine timing. It may not come when you want it. But when it comes, it is holy. It is right. And it cannot be stopped. So trust the unfolding. Surrender the clock. Release the ache into the arms of the divine. Because the masculine does not awaken by force, he awakens by fate. And when the stars whisper now, he will come. Number 5. He senses your soul is no longer waiting, and that scares him. Let's speak plainly now, beloved. There is a subtle, often unspoken tether that exists in the sacred bond between twin flames. And for a long time, whether consciously or not, the divine masculine has drawn comfort, energy, from your unwavering presence. He may not have responded to your messages. He may have turned away in the physical. But in the energetic, astral, and emotional realms, oh, he felt you. He felt you holding space for him. He felt your prayers, your light, your dreams that still clung to him on nights when he couldn't sleep. You were his safety net, the soul he knew would always be there, glowing softly in the background, loving him even in silence. But then something shifted in you. You didn't harden your heart or close the door in anger. You simply whispered a sacred truth to your soul: I release this. Not because the love died, but because you chose yourself. And in that moment, something inside him quaked. The energy he once depended on, the flame that silently kept him warm across dimensions, grew quiet. It didn't disappear, but it returned to its rightful place, within you. He no longer felt the ever-present pull. The lifeline of your longing was gone. And in its absence, he met something he wasn't ready for: emptiness. This fear, the fear of truly losing you, does not come from the ego. It comes from the soul. It is the moment when his higher self begins to rise through the rubble and shout, "You must go." She is slipping through the veil. He may reach out in strange ways. He might start dreaming of you more vividly. He might feel a sudden surge of jealousy, or an overwhelming pull to shift his entire life. And while it may look like desperation on the surface, what it truly is remembrance. A sacred, aching realization that your love was never guaranteed. That your soul, your energy, your presence, once so freely given, is now being honored first by you. And in that knowing, the masculine becomes the chaser. Not out of possession, but out of purpose. Not to pull you back into old patterns, but to rise into new ones with you. He is not chasing your body. He is chasing the light of your soul, the flame he thought would never leave. And now, he runs not to catch up with you, but to finally walk beside you. If he's chasing now, don't rush. Don't return out of loneliness or illusion. Let him meet you in your new vibration. You've become a temple. You've embodied the rose, soft but sovereign, open but protected. Let your boundaries be sacred. Let your heart be discerning. Let your intuition speak louder than your wounds. His chase is not the finish line. It is the beginning of something sacred, if, and only if, you both choose to build from wholeness, not habit. Let him rise. Let him show up. Let him stay. But most of all, let you stay rooted in your truth. For that is what called him home in the first place. And if he is truly your mirror, he will rise in equal measure. He will remember. He will return. He will honor the path that made you whole. Because now, suddenly, he's the one chasing. And you, beloved, you are finally free.